Okay guys, today is April 30th, the last day of the month. Tomorrow is May 1st, okay? Finally we got a break in the rain. Before I go on, I posted about my dream that I had earlier this month of the tornadoes in Oklahoma and Kansas, and it shifted Montana out of place. I believe that's the earthquake that's getting ready to happen because the tornadoes already happened, exactly like my dream. Really bad ones. And we have more severe weather coming, but just it's coming in a few days. So we measured out the rain and we got 3 inches of rain. Talked to a farmer today, and they don't see themselves in the field until it dries up. And around here, with how much rain we've had, it's going to be at least another week before they're fully in the fields if we don't get caught up with more rain. Okay, now, having said that, a lot of people are on edge. Just like me, I feel like something major is about to happen. In front of me, I probably have 100 pieces of different paper full of information that I don't even know where to begin. So I'm going to have to break these videos down. And this is going to be the first and foremost. This one right here. Most important. Do you guys remember maybe last year or the year before where it was talking about mandatory spring 2024? All right. Well, today, if the World Health Organization, okay, the WHO, passes the pandemic agreement and international health regulations on May 27th, 2024, the Biden administration has indicated that they will not seek Senate consent and they will do a bypass of congressional consent. All right. So, they also said it would be required and or mandated no later than the spring of 2024. I actually did a video about this on this exact article. I have been searching for it because I remember I printed it off, and I have thousands of papers that I have printed off. It would take me a lifetime to find that article, but I know it was on the WHO organization, and it had to do with a law that they signed into action during the pandemic treaty during that time. We see another wave coming, and we've been seeing some pretty strange things, okay? So before I get into this, I'm going to say that there is a guy that, you know how they're calling it demon face? Well, they've been eating people's faces. They've been really nasty stuff happening, and people just acting irate. Okay, the solar eclipse that happened had a lot to do with the behaviors of the people. I also believe, though 100%, that this was not a true solar eclipse. I believe, how do I explain this? God gives us signs for seasons and times, but he also said that he's going to send such a strong delusion that even the elect, if possible, would believe the lie. Satan is able to mimic God. Remember, he's able to also do signs and wonders in the heavens, just like God can. And I believe that was it because the moon was not spotted until the 9th. Okay, and I believe this was the manifestation of these demons that have come. This is also the other plandemic that they have going right now. So all of that leading into this perfect timing of 2024 for another mandate because of another wave that they're having, okay? All right. And then on the news, Biden spent $13 billion on doomsday planes that can survive nuclear fallout. So last night, protesters at Columbia University raided a building, bashing out windows and crawling to the second floor, sitting on ledges of building. And the U.S., okay, is moving pieces in place to strike Iran. Netanyahu says that they will invade Rafah with or without hostage deal, and a man was found eating another man's face at a bus stop in Las Vegas. So the demons are out in full force right now. And it's very disturbing to even want to think about the time that we are in. But we're here, and the news is getting harder and harder. And it's also, a lot of the news is hype. It's a lot of lies. Okay, if Satan is out here in the world with his dominions are going to spread falsehood, and many people are going to be eating it out of the palm of his hand. Just saying. All right, so next we have this. All right, so did you know that the ocean temperatures and the low-level surface temperatures in the tropics setting the new uncharted records and blowing away last year's new record? Okay, and don't tell me, oh my gosh, this is normal, because no, it's not. So especially when somebody who has been studying the natural trends, what they were and what they are, and their variations, and know what the nature is for hundreds and thousands of years, this is unnatural, okay? And so it's just a natural period. So judgment is coming. And in Revelation 12:3-5, it says, through 12:3-5, and there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great fiery red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his head. And his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven, and did cast them to earth. And the dragon stood before the woman, which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born. And she was brought forth a man-child, who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron. And her child was caught up unto God and to his throne. And then Jeremiah 4:7, the lion is come up from his thicket, and the destroyer of the Gentiles is on his way. He is gone forth from his place to make thy land desolate, and thy cities shall be laid waste without inhabitant. Okay, so the destroyer is on his way. Many people, including myself, have seen what it is. Okay, wormwood coming, and that's around that timing of judgment, right? We have Satan that's going to get cast down. We're waiting on his revealing, whatever. That's not what we're waiting on, excuse me. The earth is waiting on the revealing to bring peace about all this world and to try and fix what's broken, which we all know can't happen. So what coincides with this is what a good friend of mine, Norman, actually sent me, and it made perfect sense. Okay, I don't know which one to read first. Okay, I'll read this one, and then I'm going to read this. All right, because all of this is biblical about all of this goes with the pole shift and what's going on in the heavens. Okay, and so that explosion of the star, okay, what they're talking about, let me explain to you. The whole entire skies will light up bright from the explosion in 2024, and every single eye is going to see it. And NASA said it would be sometime in 2024 from now through September, and we do not know what day it is. Okay, which it makes sense. Around that timing, fall time, Feast of Trumpets, so on and so forth. Okay, and then it could also be that he's coming down to get us. And a matter of fact, he sent me this in March. I am the Alpha. This is a message that he received from the Lord. How it coincides with this star that NASA is saying is going to explode and every eye is going to see it. Along with that big old asteroid that they say is hurling towards the earth and there's nothing they can do to stop it. Well, we know that's what's coming from that, especially over in China with the hail, the size of boulders. It's judgment time. I'm the Alpha and Omega, the first, the last, and the beginning, and the end. Wake up, my children, for I am the Lord. Blessed are those who read this and believe. I am coming soon. Pay attention to the sky. There will be a bright light in the sky. The time is coming soon, my children, when I come to take you home. Fear not, for you will be coming home. Call upon my name, Jesus. I will gather you to take you home. Okay, and that is a true message from God. And I don't read messages or even follow through messages like that with people. But with it being on the news, the star and him getting that before any of this came out, that's pretty intense. So, and also how it's the sun's magnetic poles will flip in 2024. And here's what this means. Okay, we all know that when Jesus comes back, no matter what, a lot of people still don't process how I'm explaining this. When you have something come down, go like this, you feel a gush of wind, right? You put a bunch of pieces of paper, you turn the fan on, they're going to blow around everywhere. They're not going to stay in its place. Since God is even more powerful, think of him as a magnet. Okay? So powerful coming down. He himself can't come down, but his glory, which is in his son, Jesus, coming down so fast like a fan with the magnet, taking us up, shifting everything completely out of place because of the power of the magnet on him, or the glory of Christ. Hope that makes sense. All right, so the sun's magnetic poles are about to flip, and it can cause lower latitude northern lights, which are more intense, more intense solar flares. So, it says that we are indeed seeing the sun more active than it's been in probably 20 years. Okay, which we know that the end times officially began, in 2009, 2008 with Obama. So, and it actually could have been 9/11 to come to think about it. Yeah, that would actually make sense with the inside job. So anyways, I have to read this. While the Earth's magnetic North Pole switches infrequently to the south and vice versa, ranging from once every 10,000 years to once every 50 million years, which I find it funny because there's no way the Earth can be that old. So the sun's magnetic poles switch constantly every 11 years. Okay. So while the Earth's last reversal happened around 780,000 years ago, the sun's happened in 2013. 11 years ago. So the next predictive pole shift will happen some point in 2024. Okay, so I'm going to explain why they flip. It is generated by the flow of hot ionized gases and magnetic fields. Okay, and can the magnetic pole reversal cause damage? Absolutely. The sun's magnetic pole reverses typically bring more intense solar storms, which can cause disruption to satellites, communication, and GPS in space, disable parts of the electric grid as well, according to Earth's sky. So this is where a lot of our dreams has been saying. So this only makes sense that we would be able to see with the electric grid going out, a power out, how that would coincide. And I believe all this happens around the timing of the rapture because of the intensity of the shift. This is what's going to cause all of this to flip and to shift. Okay, which therefore brings about the Antichrist, brings about the mandates, brings about, you see what I'm saying? It all goes together to bring in this new world order climate change agenda. All right, so NASA psychics, okay, James Green and Scott Borsden published an article on a famous example of intense solar storms to the journal Advances in Space Research. They described the Great Geomagnetic Storm that happened in the summer of 1859 as the most famous space weather event in the last 200 years. It's commonly referred to as the Carrington event. And my dream of Obama and everything else with the magnetic storm, this is where I believe this is bringing about the Antichrist period. So, with the dream with Obama and Trump and them, anyways, the kingdom's being set up, and this big old solar storm that they're looking at on a piece of paper is these things coming to pass. This is what I dreamt about. It's on my other channel, Crazy About Jesus, y'all. I believe I put geomagnetic storm, Trump and Obama. I had something about that title. I'll have to find it. Anyway, so the whole sky. Okay, so this also brings about the northern lights. It brings them in lower class, and it makes them more intense and makes them look red. So our skies have been looking a lot more redder, obviously due to the pole shift. That's why it's 40 degrees off its axis. That's why it's so important to understand that this shifting is not only spiritually felt in the realm, but it's felt upon the earth because of the closeness of our Savior. Okay, so not only did the magnetic pole reversal create more vivid northern lights, it wreaked havoc on telegraph wires, okay, So a significant portion of the world's 2,000 km of telegraph lines were adversely affected, which they were temporarily unusable, and had a real economic impact. I remember John T. He follows it real closely. So does Sonia, and a couple other people that I know, Jonathan Tybin, and just a bunch of other people who are really big into this pole shift understanding. And they watch the graphs, and the Schumann Renaissance deals with this, and it was completely cut off. There was no power to it. You couldn't have access to it. It was just dead. That's what it's from, because these solar storms are getting more and more and more intense. Why? Because the Son of God, more and more angry, like the sun's becoming angry, the Son of God. Get it? Okay. So what changes will happen 2024? What will it bring? Okay. They are considering it an additional Carrington event, which can actually open up Earth's magnetic field and allow much more energy and mass to enter through it. And when that happens, we tend to see all kinds of impacts. Okay. And it's very dangerous to satellites, and it's very dangerous to the planetary system and the astronauts. And the polar flips are evidence that our star is functioning as scientists have prediction. Okay, so there you have it, all about that star system. And like I said, I believe that this also deals with wormwood. All of this deals with the same thing. All right, and it says that the sun's consistent polar flips are evidence that our star is functioning. And it's the planetarium predicted that this year's pole reversal, which will likely happen between April and August, which also I believe is the same timing that they're saying this star explosion. I believe that this could be the event that God was leading us to, and that we all thought could have been a solar eclipse or something, because we know it deals with something solar, lunar, something to do with the planetary skies. All right, so I'm stopping this video here, and I am going to make 2 more. See you there in the air. God bless.